I usually have breakfast at 7 a.m. It's important to have a good breakfast before you start your day. She doesn't have breakfast. She just drinks coffee. The kids need to have breakfast before they go to school. Let's have breakfast on the balcony. It's a beautiful morning. Did you have breakfast yet? What did you have for breakfast? Would you like to have breakfast with me tomorrow? Where should we have breakfast? Do you want to have a quick breakfast before the meeting? Want to have breakfast? I didn't have breakfast this morning, so I'm really hungry. I never have breakfast on weekends. I just have brunch. He can't have breakfast because he's running late. Sorry, I won't be able to have breakfast with you. I have an early appointment. We had breakfast at that lovely little cafe. I had a light breakfast of just yogurt and fruit. They had already had breakfast by the time I woke up. Before the trip, we all had a big breakfast. We will have breakfast delivered to our room. I'm going to have breakfast with my colleagues. Let's have breakfast first, and then we can discuss the plan. What time shall we have breakfast tomorrow? I plan to have a protein-rich breakfast before my workout. Make sure you have breakfast. It's a long day ahead. You should have some breakfast. You'll feel better. Why don't you have a proper breakfast instead of just a snack? Guests can have breakfast between 7 and 10 a.m. in the dining hall. I'm having breakfast right now. Can I call you back? Having breakfast together is our favorite family ritual. She was having breakfast when the phone rang. I saw them having breakfast in the hotel restaurant. Let's have a leisurely breakfast and read the paper. I need to have a quick breakfast today. We had a full English breakfast. He prefers to have a healthy breakfast. They had a romantic breakfast in bed. I need to go have breakfast. I like to make and have breakfast for my family. We can come over and have breakfast at your place. I always have breakfast before I check my emails. On Sundays, we have a late breakfast that turns into lunch. You should have breakfast within an hour of waking up. I rarely have breakfast after 9 a.m. Let's have an early breakfast to beat the crowd. I'm going to have eggs for breakfast. Did you have anything for breakfast? We had a continental breakfast of pastries and coffee. He likes to have a solid breakfast, not just a smoothie. Shall we have breakfast in bed for our anniversary? We can have breakfast on the go. I packed some bars. It's so peaceful to have breakfast in the garden. While on vacation, we had breakfast by the sea every morning. I prefer to have breakfast at the kitchen counter. We need to have a working breakfast to finalize the proposal. He's flying in early, so I'm scheduled to have a business breakfast with him. Let's have a celebratory breakfast for your promotion. I'm having breakfast with my parents this weekend. We had a lovely breakfast catching up with old friends. You must have some breakfast. You can't work on an empty stomach. I forgot to have breakfast, and now I have a headache. I really need to have breakfast. My stomach is growling. If I don't have breakfast, I get very irritable. I regret not having breakfast before that long meeting. If you had breakfast, you wouldn't be so hungry now. We could have breakfast delivered if you don't want to go out. Should we have breakfast before we leave, or grab something on the road? Imagine being able to have breakfast in Paris every morning. If we wake up early enough, we can have breakfast at sunrise. I haven't had breakfast yet. My goal is to have breakfast every day this week. I need to have breakfast over by 8 hours to make my appointment. Let's have him over for breakfast next week. Do you mind if I have a bit of your breakfast? I'm still hungry. We can have out for breakfast. I don't feel like cooking. Please ensure all children have breakfast before boarding the bus. The first thing you do when you get to the hotel is have breakfast. Have your breakfast first, then you can watch cartoons. It was wonderful to have a quiet, uninterrupted breakfast for once. He had a lonely breakfast at the diner. Let's have breakfast together tomorrow. What time should we have breakfast? Do you want to have breakfast before the meeting? She doesn't have breakfast during the week. She's always in a rush. Where do you usually have breakfast? I'm having breakfast with a client on Thursday. He can't come to the phone. He's having breakfast right now. We're going to have breakfast at that new cafe by the park. I had breakfast at 6 a.m. today. They had breakfast on the balcony overlooking the sea. We didn't have breakfast because we overslept. I was having breakfast when you called. While she was having breakfast, she read the news. I've already had breakfast. Thank you. Have you had breakfast yet? He hasn't had breakfast this morning. Make sure you have breakfast before you leave. Don't forget to have breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. Would you like to have breakfast with me? Can I get you something to have for breakfast? You're welcome to have breakfast with us. You should have breakfast. You'll concentrate better. Why don't we have breakfast here? It looks nice. You must have breakfast before your exam. We could have breakfast delivered to the room. She might have breakfast before she arrives. If I have time, I will have breakfast. If I had time, I would have breakfast. Having breakfast is my favorite part of the morning. I look forward to having breakfast with you. Breakfast was had in a quiet, serene atmosphere. Does the room rate include having breakfast? Good morning. Table for one for breakfast, please. What would you like to have for breakfast? We have eggs or cereal. Thank you for letting me have breakfast here. It's important to have a healthy breakfast. Since I started having breakfast, I have more energy. The family was having breakfast when the unexpected news arrived.